Hey friends, what's up? Uh, just some chill stuff going on here. I'm planning on building a battery or two, and then I'm headed to bed because I have work in the morning. Sorry, you can't see my face like at all. Ah, that's worse. I don't have any lights on. We're going to the bench cam real quick. I am going to work tomorrow. I'm gone to work in like 2 weeks almost because I was out with COVID for a while, and as you can see, I'm still feeling a little under the weather, but I'm testing negative and I'm good to go. So here we go. Bench cam. If you happened to catch the last stream, I was working on this bad boy, and this afternoon I got around to finishing it on my own time. I just had to kind of do a couple things to it. I'd been working on figuring out how I wanted to mount the video antenna. So I have one of these Axie SMA thingamabobs, and I just wanted it kind of fully enclosed out the back here, but this frame only has a single standoff in the back, and not many frames have that design, so it was kind of tricky to find a design that went off the rear frame. If you happen to be looking for frame designs that have just single standoff rear mounting, the X Labs, the old X Labs Stees, and maybe the Brap as well, are frames that had that design. And then also the original Hyperlite Floss V1 had a single standoff rear design. And so there are a few limited designs out there where you can get single standoff antenna mounts or various other mounts based off a single standoff design. So that's what I used for this. I just copied a mount from I forget which one it was, but from a different frame, and then I had to trim it because this is a 3-inch frame, so the standoff's real short. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I kind of had to do a test fit because I knew it would be kind of coming into the prop space here, but as you can see, plenty of room for that antenna to fit. And then the last thing I did was zip tie the Mini Mortal T. That's who makes this one? Rush maybe makes this one. Just zip tied it to the carbon. I know that's not ideal. I don't plan on flying this thing very far. I'm really excited to get this thing flying again though, because I had it flying and it was impossible to tune. And so I had to change some things in the process. I decided to change basically everything. So it's, other than like the flight stack and the motors, it's kind of a it's kind of a rebuild. So yeah. What else? That's it. Just gonna hang it on the wall until excuse me, until I can get on the outside with the weather nice enough, and rip this thing. It was insanely fast when I was flying it before. Like I swear this thing easily got like closer to 100 miles an hour than some of my 5-inch drones do. Not even kidding. This thing's just wicked fast. I mean, it's just big notchy motors on a very lightweight 3-inch setup. I should get a new weight on this. Let me grab my scale. Hang tight. All right. Good to see everybody hanging out today. B-Man, Apache, Brandon, Baked Beans, Demenis in the house. Hope everybody's doing well. I know I am doing well. Just feeling just a little barely under the weather still. Yeah, that was another thing, B-Man. Another thing I was considering doing tonight on the stream was so many of my drones have those LED race wires on them. But there's still so much room for, that's just a blank canvas on the underside, where I have in the past, like on this bad boy, nope, not that bad boy. On this bad boy, I have an LED strip on the bottom here so that if you're flying, you can easily be seen by a quad chasing you from underneath. But it also has those. Currently that LED is not hooked up in this rig. I just need to decide what I'm doing with this LED and then set this rig up in beta flight for it to be ready to go. I'm all about the LEDs. So one of the things I was considering doing tonight was busting out my bag of orange and purple Tinies LEDs and just sticking them to random quads just to brighten them up. Especially my 7-inch or 7-inch quads, but multiples of them. Okay, so let's see. Props are on. Antenna, yeah, it's ready to fly. I did test hover this in my living room and it hovered smoothly. So 162, can you guys see that? Yeah, 162 is the dry weight. I don't plan on running any HD with it. And I do plan to run it on these 4S 850s. So we'll do the China Hobby line first. 264, 260. Okay, so yeah, around 260 grams. Dang, it was sub 250 before I changed the VTX. And I changed the VTX and I changed the antenna, and honestly probably just the weight of this mount and the antenna from the whip antenna that was in there before. That's probably, it was close. It was like 245 or something like that. I don't remember exactly. So just, 15 grams or so, put it over the top. And I bet you I could get it lighter by reprinting this canopy, which I have the files for, and doing it in maybe doing it in TPU with a very, very light infill. This currently is made of nylon and it's really like hard plastic solid, which is awesome. It'll be insanely durable. But if I want this thing back under 250 grams without totally reworking the antenna setup, that's probably what I'm gonna have to do. So 260 all up, and yeah, the thing's gonna be a beast. So that goes back on the wall for now. Pardon my reach. And now we get to business. If you have any questions for me while I'm working tonight, I am the FPV mentor and I love helping people with FPV related questions. So despite my stream being totally informal, no. The advantage of my stream being totally informal is I can change up anything I want at any time. And if I want to derail whatever I'm working on the workbench to focus on a question that one of you fine folks has, either of yourself or maybe you saw it in a Facebook group, just drop it in the chat, tag me, Remy Space Tim. I think it works either way, space or no space, Remy Tim, and it'll light up in orange and I'll see it and I'll do my very best to answer your question. Demenis has one. I have a question. Is there any way you can tell if a capacitor is bad? I want to say there should be using a multimeter, but I don't know what measurement you're looking for, so that's not very helpful. I would say if you suspect a capacitor is bad, replace it. because they're very cheap and they're usually very easy to replace. So just replace it anyways. And you know that the new one is good. So yeah, that's my recommendation if you suspect a capacitor is bad. Or look up how to test a capacitor with a multimeter. This is what I'm working on right now. These are 21700 6S1P lithium ion cells. They are beastly. This one, I think I went a little too long with the floppy freaking XT60, but that's okay. These are for my long range cruisers, 7-inch cruising, and yeah, I have enough cells to build 1, 2 more, so I'll have 4 of them, and then I also have enough cells to build a second 4S version of that same battery. They're different cells. These are the Moly cells. These are the Sony VTC6A rather, and these are Lichtenstein or something like that. I don't remember. All very similar in spec to each other. The Sonys might be the best. I think they're definitely the most expensive. So yeah, let me get some music going. Yeah, I have here on my desktop just a very simple guide I'm following on blog.seidel/philippe.de, and it just has a wiring diagram for a couple different forms of there's a 4S2P, so if you want to know how to do batteries in parallel. Yeah, this is the basic method that I've followed for building my previous packs, and it seems to work well enough. So I'll drop a link to that in the chat just in case anyone. The Moly cells are like 42 amp draw. There's the link if anyone is looking to build their own cells. As you'll see here tonight, it's really not that hard. It takes some patience, as you'll see here. I think it is a risky process for sure, but it kind of gives you a lot of confidence to be able to look at your packs, look at internal resistance and say, hey, there's a bad cell in there. Maybe I can actually get in and pull that cell out. And in case of these guys, it's easy enough to buy a single replacement and swap it out, or have a few replacements on hand and swap out a bad cell. I did that with one of my 4S packs recently, and it was super easy. I was like, yeah, I damaged this cell when installing it because it was my first time doing a lithium ion pack. And I said, well, because I damaged it, like, I'll run it for a little while and see how it goes. And it was obviously damaged. Sorry if I struggled to talk while doing this. This is like dragging nails on a chalkboard, and it makes me slightly uncomfortable to do it. But without a spot welder, you kind of have to, the same way the same reason you like sand down something before you paint on it. Also, sorry if I'm shaking the camera. You need to give the solder a rough surface to cling to, so you scratch up the ends of the cells just enough to allow the solder to flow a little bit. And it's how bad is that camera shaking? There we go. That's actually better because it's not ringing into the table. I forgot to start music. What do I want to play? What was I playing? We'll just keep playing this. And whoops, hold on. That's too loud. Bring that down. That's better. Sorry about that. What was I even saying? What's going on? Oh, you're suspecting bad cap because of video noise. I'm guessing there was no video noise on this rig, and then suddenly you started to get more video noise. Is that correct? Because otherwise, if you had video noise kind of from the beginning of this build, it's probably not a bad cap. But if it just kind of came out of the blue or after a crash or something, it could be a number of things, but replacing the cap is a pretty easy guess. That would be my first guess for sure. If you just suddenly started having video noise, especially if that video noise gets worse through the throttle range. As you increase throttle, it's worse. Yeah. Okay, it's worse again. This dang scratching. It's giving me these freaking chills, dude. I hate it. Ah. You crashed, the VTX antenna came out, and the capacitor and power lead came off. So I'm not sure which one it is. Did you check for damage in the antenna? Like, I don't know where it came out, if it was like on the UFL or on the MMCX, or if the if you have an SMA adapter or something and the break happened there. SMAs aren't all that strong. Neither are MMCX. UFLs are pretty strong, but they don't stay connected very easily without like heat shrink and zip ties. But yeah, so here's Domenis, here's what I am thinking about your situation right now. I'm thinking when you test it tomorrow, if you determine that the throttle gets worse, the video gets worse the higher in the throttle you go, then it's an issue with the VTX, probably the VTX, but maybe also the cam, getting clean power. So replacing the capacitor, making sure they're like on a shared ground, and making sure if you're on 5 volts, it could be now suddenly a damaged 5 volt reg that's causing some noise. But all of those things would cause video to get worse. Worse and worse the higher in the throttle you go. Alternatively, if you fly, and it doesn't matter where you are in the throttle, for video to get worse, and video's getting worse, maybe, for example, the further you fly out, then it's probably damage in your antenna or in your antenna connectors. And I would pull that all apart and check for clean connections, and then like replace your UFL adapter and your antenna itself if you have spares on hand, which those are always, especially just an antenna, but also like an MMCX to SMA or UFL to SMA adapter. Those antennas, like I've got half a dozen of each lying around somewhere. I had to dig one out just today or yesterday, because while I was working on that 3-inch that I showed you guys earlier, I was working on my Cinewoop, and I wanted to change the antenna at the back here, and I needed to find an MMCX 90 degree to SMA mount, and I think I only had one of those, but I had one, and I was able to make the repair that I wanted to right on the spot, which was awesome. I've been motivated a lot the last couple of days to do some work because I've gotten my 3D printer printing really well. Finally, I've had it for like a year, and yeah, so I've finally been able to experiment with some stuff. Like on that 3-inch, I printed like 5 different variations of that rear antenna mount before I settled on one that I liked. And then on that Cinewoop, I had to print a new GoPro mount. For my Glide, I printed this GoPro mount nice and fresh, and it's really, really clean looking. So I'm really happy with these print qualities that I'm getting all of a sudden. I don't know that much about 3D printing, but I just kind of did enough research to get myself in a place where I can make stuff that I'm happy with. I'm happy putting on my own drones. It's kind of the key. And I've been printing stuff for my own drones for basically a year, but like I wasn't able to figure out how to print PLA for a while. So not that I'm really using that for drone stuff, but like I have a 3D printer. I want to be able, PLA is like the most common filament people use. It's just kind of a generic hard plastic. So I was able to like print in TPU, but I couldn't print anything in PLA, and I finally got that figured out. And then when I got that figured out, my TPU started coming out so much cleaner too. I was like, oh, it's a nice improvement to be made. And then after I got TPU printing pretty well, I realized that the bed surface I have on my 3D printer is like the worst option for printing PLA, which is one of the reasons I'm sure why it's been so hard for me to print PLA, is because I've been trying to do it on this particular bed surface. So I got PLA working, and now I learned this extra step, and I'm sure if I choose to do more projects printed in PLA, I just need to change the bed surface, and I can get even better quality PLA prints or just more consistent prints. All right, this is the last cell for this pack to scratch up. These scratches don't need to be as intense or as deep as I'm making them. I'm just trying to be very thorough. I feel like the better of a job you do at this, the better the solder adheres and the less likely you are to do damage to the cell by overheating it with the soldering iron. Because that's the risk with soldering onto these. You buy the cells with tabs on them. I don't know, I've always heard buy them tabless for this. I don't know the difference between with tabs or without. MMCX came unplugged and the antennas seemed fine. I'd replace that MMCX if you have a spare, or just kind of look at it and make sure. Like the MMCX, I don't have one on hand, but the MMCX has kind of a couple pieces to it on that metallic end part. Just like make sure they're not like twisting in each other. Because if they are, that'd be bad. They'd be real bad. All right, so cell one starts with negative. So we start positive to negative. I think I usually do it that way. Positive to negative to positive. Wait, yeah, positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative. And then we get that, 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 and that. Those are the connections we're making, if I'm not mistaken. Cells 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it reaches the negative on cell 6. And then positive, so our 24, whatever, 25 volts will come out of the positive of this last cell after it's all hooked up. So, if I was smart, I'd go through and like check all of these right now with a multimeter to make sure we've got like even voltage on all of them. Yeah, I am gonna do that. So I'm gonna fire up my soldering iron to get that preheated. If I was real smart, I'd be checking voltage and internal resistance and whatnot as well. But I barely know how to use a multimeter for anything other than checking voltage. So that'll be positive. Come on. A negative. 3.49. Make sure that's. Come on, bub. I can't do this right. Just set it down. 3.49. 3.51. Close enough. I mean, the right thing to do would be just line them all up, test them all. This is just what I expected. They're all exactly the same. That's what happens when you buy good batteries from a reputable source. So another thing I'm sure I could do is do some sort of check of internal resistance, but nah, I won't do that. So basically now I'm just gonna pair them off and then I'll connect the pairs. I forget what temperature I've used for this in the past. So I'm gonna set like 360 Celsius to start with and go from there. Yeah, so I have pretty limited experience doing this, but a lot of things carry over from soldering on your battery leads and stuff like that. Obviously, too much heat, instead of risking lifting a pad or something like that, too much heat will get into the internal chemistry of the cell and will damage it. Also, apparently, if you like singe the side here, you can get into the, anyways, just don't touch the soldering iron to anything but the bare metal on the top. And we're about to see how this temperature works for pre-tinning these guys. I'm gonna bring my solder over. Nice clean tip. And you're gonna use kind of a lot of solder for this. Nice. All right, so that first one went nice and quick and the battery's not even warm at all. The second one took a second, and only up here on the top, it's nice and warm. Now that's gonna happen kind of no matter what. It cooled off pretty quickly, which means the heat kind of just dissipated back through everything and it didn't stay concentrated. So that's okay. What you don't want is to pick up the battery and the whole thing to feel like a hand warmer. You want to ensure that you're not overheating these packs or these cells. All right. Whoops. This is where tweezers come in real handy. So, we're pre-tinning here. It's really easy to have the solder as you're pre-tinning. If you kind of heat it too much, the solder will suck its way up into the wire inside of the shielding. For this, it's really not the end of the world, but the more you can avoid that, the better. So, quick heat transfer, high heat, fast in, fast out, as much as possible. Obviously that won't be entirely possible, but you know, do what you can. All right, and when you use blue tack, with high heat, it gets melty and it sticks to everything, and it's a real pain. But these little, yeah, it's still warm. These little tiny short lengths of wire, they get real hot all the way through. So be careful with them. Yeah, I didn't even do a very good job of pre-tinning. Let's try that again. Okay. That's better. And now it doesn't hurt to do this while it's still warm, because you're just kind of saving on letting it cool down and having to reheat it. Okay, that didn't go super well, but it stuck. And then bring that around so it's kind of as close as it's gonna get. Okay, that one was even rougher. So that one's a little off center. That one's a little too far back, which is why that one ended up off center. I couldn't quite get like into the middle. I'm just gonna try and pull up some more solder around where that one ended up connecting, and I think I'll call it good if I'm able to do that. So just come back in with some heat, give it a second, and then just start kind of moving the iron around a little bit. And the solder is not quite sticking to the top of the cell. But that did, yeah, that ended up working out. That ended up making a nice pool. I'm just gonna come into the top of this one here and try and add a little more solder. That's better. To get a nice shiny ball over it, I could see the texture of some of the things. So the mistake I made there was the second cell. I let it get a little too warm. It's not too bad, but yeah, I think I'm gonna crank the heat just a little bit more up to, we'll try 380 right now. And it's on to the second pair. So positive to negative. Then that will be positive to negative. So that'll be like that, then that'll be positive to negative. So I'm just gonna connect these two positive to negative, and then I'll connect, yeah, you'll see. Okay, oh, you can see everything just fine. All right, so what I haven't figured out is if there's a best strategy in terms of timing for all of this. In my mind, it makes sense to pre-tin this and then let it cool down so that you're not doing too much heat all at once. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the faster you can do it, the better. And so the fewer times you have to heat it up and cool it down, even if it gets a little hotter than it would doing it like hot then cold, then hot then cold again. I don't know which is better. In my mind, it makes more sense to heat it up mildly twice than to heat it up a lot once. Whose music is this? I feel like I'm gonna get copy striked. Who cares? Yeah, this is 6S 1P. 6S cells. I thought about doing 6S 2P. I also thought about doing 4S 2P, but that doesn't make any sense for me where I'm at right now. I'm doing a couple of 4S cells just to have, especially since one of my 7-inch rigs, the ESC is technically only rated to 4S. I think I've tried it on 5S and it was okay. I haven't yet tried it on 6S, but I anticipate as long as I keep the throttle at a cruise, like as long as I'm flying it on 6S lithium ion cells, I don't suspect I'll be pushing anything hard enough to where I'm gonna get like those big 6S voltage spikes that are what kill ESCs. Which this thing probably can't handle, which is why it's rated for 4S. So as long as I avoid those, I feel like I should be okay. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just need to stick with 4S on it. But I'll try 6S on it eventually. No, that's too far back again. Here we go. Okay. All right, that one went a bit easier than the last one. And definitely not as much heat put into the cell. Either of them. But the wire's a little sloppier. Those solder jobs got a little dull. I'm not too worried about any of that. They're big, beefy wires. These are low amp draw situations. While yes, it's your battery and you obviously don't want your battery to fail, like that would feel awful if like that was your point of failure during flight. Well, it's totally avoidable. I feel like it's a situation where it doesn't need to be 100% perfect each time. How you doing, Jackalope? Good to see you as well, Riot9. Who else is in here? Paul. I don't know if I said hey to you, Paul. Saw some jigs you can print off Thingiverse for holding them. Yeah, I think I saw those a while back as well. I actually forgot about those. That's interesting. I would use that to hold them while working on them, while soldering them, but that's just extra weight that I don't feel like I need. But that's, maybe. Because right now I'm just doing heat shrink, and electrical tape. I'm doing a lot of electrical tape, to be fair, which I probably don't need to do that much, but yeah. That's an interesting thought, getting some plastic supports in there to it'll definitely hold its shape better. Mine are just a little misshapen. It's not bad, but it's definitely there where it's like, oh yeah, it's home built. It's just not quite perfect, which again, I'm kind of okay with on these being not totally perfect. Hey, anybody in here planning on going to Rampage? Who in here do I know is in the US? I know Paul is. I know Jackalope is. B-Man, you going to, who was I talking to about Rampage in, Ciotti's chat? I can't remember. B-Man, you're in the US, right? Are you going to Rampage? I'm not gonna lie, B-Man, I have occasionally gotten you confused with B-Rad, who I did meet at Rampage this past year. And when I see B-Rad posting on Instagram and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, that guy from Ciotti's chat and the collective, good guy. And then I'm like, wait, no. You're B-Man. Not to be confused with, you try to talk your family into taking a trip from NY from New York. Nice. Yeah, dude. It's a good time. I can tell you that much. It is, it's a good time. The flying, I'm sure the flying is fun. I've only done a very limited amount of flying at Rampage because I chose to save money and volunteer both years that they have done it before. See, that one I got a little extra hot. But I saved saved on ticket prices by volunteering, and they're still pretty good about making sure volunteers get a chance to fly either like the first evening after everybody sets up, or you know, they kind of figure it out. Yeah, this will be the furthest. No, I guess last year I came from Denver as well. The first year I was able to drive there from North Carolina because it's just in South Carolina. And that was a good time. I don't remember if that's where... No, I already knew Ciotti, but before the 2018 Rampage. We had flown together. He had come up to Asheville and brought his quad stuff. He came like on a family trip to Asheville where I was living at the time. Brought his quad stuff, posted in the local Asheville drone group and was like, hey, anybody want to fly? And I so happened to be free that day and I said, yeah, dude, let's meet up here. And then did James meet us? Who met us? What am I thinking of? What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of when Scarecrow first got into FPV and got his quad stuck in a tree, Eugene came to meet us and helped us get it out. What am I thinking of with Ciotti? Where? That was the same spot though. Who else was there? I know man, I can't remember. Z-Bones, what's up, dude? Met you at Rampage. You going to the next one? Dude, I'm planning on it. I'm hoping to. Money has been rough the last year. It's been tight, but I'm working on budgeting better, and I am working on I have ADHD, so I have serious issues with managing my own money. Like, it's just, my brain just doesn't have self-control in that manner, in that aspect of my life. It's but I'm also in the process of interviewing for a new job that would pay me quite a bit more than what I'm making right now. And if I was able to get a job there, then I would almost certainly be able to come to Rampage, because my cost of living would be just about the same and I'd be making a lot more money. I'd also be able to finally save up for a new car and stuff like that. Not a new car, but one to replace my 2008 200,000 mile beast. It's not quite 200,000 miles, but it is like 193. Flew with me at the lake a good bit. Hell yeah, man. I'm sure I would recognize if I saw your face. That was a small little crew there, and that was a ton of fun. Yeah, man, that was beautiful too. That lake spot was, woo, that's hot. That was good fun, dude. Yeah. Fond memories of that day. Except I had to bail early because I had a flight back home. Yeah. Good stuff, man. Thanks for stopping in on the live stream. It's good to see you here, man. Are you going to the next Rampage? It's kind of crazy how, I mean, I guess they gave us a couple months, but like they just dropped the announcement this week, didn't they? So that's kind of crazy, like how quick they dropped that on us. Okay. So it'll be second positive to back negative. So here's what I do for these guys. I get that blue tack down, and the two cells that I'm connecting to each other, just press them in. Make it work. You just make it work. I'm liking this music playlist, but I don't have any control over it. Well, I could, but I'm choosing to just let it keep playing, which is scary because if something from a big name artist comes on, I'm screwed. So the stream could kind of just cut off at any second if like Coldplay came on or something. But yeah, if I go to Rampage again, I'm almost certainly going to volunteer again or do flight line managing again or something like that, because can save some money that way. And I love helping out, and I love the crew that helps out each year. Getting to hang out with Gage, Ciotti, I mean, everyone. I've made Riddy always volunteers. Just good people, man. So, and I always love kind of, and that's my whole thing with FPV Mentor, is I have found, oh boy, hold still. I found a love for helping people discover joy in FPV in maybe ways they didn't think were possible, or maybe just in ways they hadn't experienced before. And Rampage is such a cool opportunity to like find you know, that 14-year-old kid who convinced his dad to come, and like he's never been to a drone event in his life, but he saw the online ad and was like, I want to go, and his dad made him get a summer job in order to, you know, like that kind of story. And then they're there and you're like, man, let me help you have the best weekend like that we can possibly give you, and like encouraging the kid. And like I don't know, maybe he like went and bought a GoPro. Thanks, Paul. Like specifically for Rampage and whatnot. Like I've seen that level of excitement, but then like kid has no idea how to set up and use a GoPro before, or because yeah, he has no idea how to like set up a GoPro because he's never used one before. And so I'm like, dude, let me walk you through it and we'll get your footage looking fresh, and like you can get that Rampage edit that everybody covets, and just like helping kind of foster that experience. Just it's good stuff. I've had a couple opportunities like that at previous Rampages, and my FPV Mentor business is trying to do the same, achieve that same kind of service remotely with new pilots. Okay. So then positive to negative. I left you in charge when I left. Yeah. I'm sure you did a great job. Yeah, I mean, I wished I could have stayed around. It sounded like the post-festival activities were fun as well, but we had a long drive to get back to Atlanta, where I was flying out that night so that I could get back to Denver, because I could only use a little bit of PTO to make it out there, and I had to work Monday morning, I guess it was. I couldn't take an extra day off, so yeah, I just had to bail. Yeah, dude, I'd love to see you again if you can make it happen. If you're thinking about coming back out, I've heard a lot of talk. There's an event like 2 weeks later, a drone event in South Carolina, 2 weeks after Rampage. That's been on the schedule since before Rampage got on the schedule for this year. So a lot of people were like already committed to going to that, and like going to 2 drone events in the course of 2 weeks is not in the cards for most people, unless they live in South Carolina, but not for people traveling. So I know a lot of people who seem to be committed to the, I don't entirely know what it is. I think it's partly a drone race, which I just have zero interest in flying in anyways. You know, maybe just viewing would be cool. But I think they're also doing some amount of freestyling there as well. Like I've heard bot grinders going. So it's cool that more drone events are happening and bringing in freestyle YouTube personalities. That's what's gonna draw crowds a lot of the time. All right, good enough. This whole process is turning into a mess right now. I need more solder. There we go. Nice. All right, this is the last connection. I should be able to measure full voltage after this. That one got nice and hot on that. It's less than ideal. Okay. Let's get a little fresh solder on the tip. Help transfer the heat better and freshen up the flux, because the temperature I'm running is just burning off flux like it's nobody's business. I could use more flux, but realistically, the temperature I'm running, it's just gonna burn off no matter what. So now that I'm done with that one, I'm gonna go ahead and back the temperature off on my iron, let it cool down so I don't proper burn out this tip. I'm gonna clean it off. And feed fresh solder onto it so that it's protected. And that, after some squeezing and some peeling off of the blue tack, that's a 6S battery. So now that's my negative and that's my positive terminal, because I started like this: cell 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to 5, 5 to 6. And it never hurts to like label them with Sharpie or something, so that if you are measuring internal resistance in the cell and you're like, hey, cell 4 is toast, time to replace it, when you pull apart the thing, yes, you can just count through, like, I know this is cell 1, 2, 3, so this must be 4. But if you label them in advance, you can do that and look at the number, and it's a good way to double check. So I've got ground, I've got positive, 21.1 volts. That is nominal, 3.5 volts per cell. And that's what I want to see. 21.0, 21.1. Awesome. Sweet. So that's a 6S. Z-Bones says he's close and is planning to go to both if he can. That'd be sick. You walked into Rampage 2018 having no idea what FPV was about. How did you hear about Rampage then? We had to go out on the boat looking for another quad. Didn't recover. Last year, after I left, I'm guessing. Yeah. And I'm guessing you're talking about the Castle Crashes freestyle mostly. That's cool. Like I said, I don't know much about the event other than I know a couple people personally and through the internet who say they're going. which makes me want to go. All right, guys, it's 11:45 here, which means it's almost my bedtime. I knew I'd probably only get one cell done. So let's see if I can actually get one full cell done. Now you have to connect a balance lead and an XT60 lead so that you can charge the battery and fly the battery. Both very important things. Now this dang XT60 thing, or sorry, JST, this balance plug, the wires aren't long enough to reach through the cells and get to the ones that I need at the bottom here. So I have to figure out what goes where, trim the wires that are going to these top cells, and then the ones that need to connect to the bottoms, I need to use the excess wire to get down there. So red should be ground on this, if I'm not mistaken, but I always pull out my charger to double check. No, red, that doesn't make any sense anyways. All the black is what's confusing, but red is full voltage, which makes more sense. So that is full positive voltage. That means the first black is ground. And then you get, you know, your 4.2, your 8.4, yeah, up to because that's how this works. You're measuring voltage in between each one. So that means this red is gonna go directly to the positive of this pad because it shares the last positive of cell number 6. So it also means that this first black wire goes to the first ground. So once I figure out how long those are, how long I want those to be sticking out of here, which as you can see, in the past, I've done about that long, which is very short, but you don't need that much length to get to the charger, really. So I'll probably do something similar. I'll just measure it out. And I'll trim those up. And that's some excess wire that I can use on the back ones. I probably could have gone even just a little bit shorter, but as I heat shrink this and whatnot, it'll tighten things up a little bit. Okay, so that's cell 1. Then the rest of these I need to get to the positive pad of each remaining cell. So that means, sorry, full voltage is there. That means this is cell 1. So I'm gonna go cell 1, negative, and then cell 1 positive is here. So that needs to go to the positive of cell 1, which is down on the underside of this. So this needs to be extended. This one needs to go to the positive of cell 2. Cell 1, cell 2. So as I line these short ones up to there and there, I can trim this one to about there, and potentially even shorter, because that's all that needs, the distance that one needs to go. Cell 1, cell 2, cell 3 needs to go to the positive of this one. So this one's one of the longest ones. I'll leave that. Cell 4 It's going to that positive back there. I don't know why this feels different than what I'm used to doing. Positive for cell 2. Positive for cell 3. And then positive for cell 4. Yeah, no, this is right. Okay. Sorry. I'm slow. I have to double check my work a lot. Okay, so this one I basically only trim like 2 millimeters off of in order to get to the right length. And then this one is for cell number 5, so it's going to the positive tab of this cell. So it's going to be a longer reach too. So I have 7 plugs here, 7 wires. 3 of them are going to the bottom. And these 4 are staying up top. So it would kind of make sense to solder these up first to get this plug into place. And then these 3 ones that need to be extended, I can extend those as needed afterwards. And I kind of have 3 scraps of wires that should be able to get me enough length to make those happen. Sorry, I'm getting all sinusy again. Haven't had much of that today. I guess it's just that I've started talking again. I should be heading to bed right now because it's gonna be snowing tonight. It's probably starting soon, the snow. And then I'm headed to work tomorrow, which means the roads are gonna be awful, which means I need to get up extra early so that I can leave extra early. But alas, here I am. 10 minutes to midnight. Still awake. I guess my thought process is... Have a good night, Paul. Oh, that was a while ago. I don't know how I didn't see that. Stingy was on a video saying he'd be in South Carolina tomorrow. You knew you couldn't miss it. Dude, that's awesome. That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome that you showed up and found an addiction with FPV. That's awesome, dude. That is so cool. I mean, Rampage is definitely an event to make that happen too. Okay. Yeah, that flux. All right. So what I should do, realistically, before soldering the balance plug on, is I should solder on the XT60. That one I did full length. I don't think I want to do another full length. I think I'll leave that one full length for now. But I think that length makes a lot more sense. So we'll measure that out. Oh, my back hurts. Everything kind of hurts. I had COVID all of last week, for those who don't know, and it was rough. I was fully vaccinated and everything. It still got me. And man, am I glad I was vaccinated, because even though I'm young and healthy, I had a pretty rough go of things for like a full, today's day 9, and my voice is still rough. My throat is still rough. I still have a cough. But like the worst of like the headache and exhaustion, the worst of that is the worst of it probably lasted 5 days, something like that. And then it was just kind of this very slow recovery back up to where I'm not now at, is like feeling like I'm at like 90 to 95% of myself, but still a few symptoms. It's nothing nothing to joke about. My mom had it like 3 weeks ago and says she still has symptoms. I really hope she's not gonna have like lifelong, like long COVID symptoms that some people seem to be getting. Because she's not that old, and that would be, I don't know what that would be. It'd be awful. It'd be scary. Yeah, she's had symptoms for like 3 straight weeks. Nothing, yeah, I mean, she hasn't had to be hospitalized or anything like that. But no, Jackalope. Didn't lose smell or taste. I'm glad I'm feeling a lot better too. It's, yeah. It's on heart medication probably for the rest of his life, and he needs a new kidney. Dude, that's just tragic. Z-Bones. Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's Rampage for you in a nutshell. Some dude in a mustache just wandering around handing people a watch saying, "Hey, watch this." Nah. Friend had to be hospitalized. Crazy. I'm glad I don't know anyone, any personal friends. I know a few like distant acquaintances who who died of COVID much earlier in the pandemic, but I don't have any close acquaintances who I lost from COVID. Super thankful for everybody's health in my life, but yeah. Heavy duty tweezers. Not really tweezers, but come on, bud. There we go. Almost. There we go. Is it solidified? Yeah, good enough. You know what? No, good enough. There we go. Double check that I did that right. Positive to positive, negative to negative. Cool. All right, I'm gonna finish this battery up nice and quick. So, like I mentioned before, I am gonna choose the method that will get these top ones soldered up first, and then I'll follow that up with the bottom ones. The way I think about these is more along the lines of like when you're welding stuff, which I don't weld. Okay, ground, cell 1, cell 2. When you're welding stuff and you just need to tack it in place, that's kind of what I'm thinking of here. I'm not reflowing the entire bulb of solder across the top of each cell. I'm mostly just adding enough new solder to the tip, which I know is not ideal procedure, but it helps the heat flow. And then I'm just getting a section of it to reflow. Cell 2, whoo, ow. Cell 3, cell 4, so that's the back corner on the top. And yeah, I'm really just coming in with a tip with some fresh solder on it. And I'm just still high heat. I'm running at like 400 Celsius. I'm just trying to tack it into place. And then the last positive one goes up front. Now, I didn't quite get, that's pretty close. Okay. There we go. Ooh. All right, I kind of melted a little corner of the shrink wrap there. It should be okay. Okay, now that's decent. I didn't get the lengths super even, but close enough. Now here's where you do not want to lose track of which wire's going where. It's easy to do when you flip this thing around. So let's pry it off the blue tack. So I'm pressing it back down onto the blue tack to have the excess blue tack stick back to itself. Goodness sakes. Okay. So again, cell 1, cell 2, should be like the shortest one. No, those two are equal length. And then what's the longest one? Wait, no, positive. Wait. Oh no, that's cell 1. That's straight down. So that's the shortest one. So I can extend, I think that should definitely be the shortest one. So I can go ahead and extend that one with my shortest excess wire here. I'm trying to see if I can, I know I have other excess wires elsewhere, but I'm trying to see if, I think the last one of these that I did, I got away with just using trimmed wire as wire lengtheners, and it was totally fine. The right thing to do would be to heat shrink this, so fine. Get 3 lengths of heat shrink out of this for my 3 connectors. I'm sorry for the noise that's going to come with the heat gun here in a second. You've been warned. Noise warning. I could just mute myself. Nah. You've been warned. Ah, but the HDMI came undone. Sorry about that. I don't have timestamps. F1208. Just a couple minutes, okay. Yes, Z-Bones, it was Steel. You just had no idea at the time who he was. Yeah, that's what I figured. What's going on? Mark Lillo, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. That is tragic. There's no words to describe that kind of loss, and I'm so sorry for you. I hope you and your family are doing well. Okay, good enough. Videos out, videos back. Bob Noxious in the house. Yeah, it's not a stream without technical difficulties. Did you guys see Bardwell's stream today? That man was having some technical difficulties. A consummate professional. Bob Knox is just yelling at me in all caps. That's cool. Alright. No, missed it. What? There we go. What? I don't know what's going on. Tag me again. From excitement. Oh. I don't know what's going on. This plug, it's in. And the GoPro goes black when it goes in. Hold on, I gotta go back to the other scene just to see if it's coming back or not. I can't monitor, or I don't know how to monitor. I have no idea what's going on, guys, but I need to go to bed anyways. It's 12:15 here. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty new cable, but that seems to be what's going on. Let me try one more time. Hey, there it is. All right, let me finish this up. The cable is, are we good? We're good. The cable, you guys can hear me? Cool. The cable is run right where the heat gun hangs on the wall. So here's the heat gun. and the cable comes out of the GoPro here and hangs over this quad and then goes into the computer. So I definitely fiddled with it as I took the heat gun down and hung it back up. Excuse me. Oh man. Be right back. Sorry about that. I'm running low on cough drops. Okay, let me finish this up. Oh, geez, man. Oh, all right. So 1, 2, ground. Cell 1, cell 2, cell 3. It's pretty much perfect length on that one. Goodness sakes. All right. Just making sure none of you all are trying to get my attention. You know how to get my attention. Just shout my name in all caps like Bob did. Okay. Easy does it with this one. Hey, you guys. Oh wait, what day is today? No. I'll shout it out at the end of the stream with like a link or something. But if you guys don't know what the Natural Selection Tour is, you need to watch it. I don't know that there's gonna be any way to watch the competition after it's happened, or if you can only get it live. I don't know. There might be a way to watch it afterwards and it'll be totally fine. But I know for sure that, or I'm pretty sure that last year you had to catch the first event live. And the first event for this year's competition starts tomorrow. I think it lasts like 4 days maybe. What natural selection is, if you don't know, and maybe you've seen about this because it's kind of big in the drone world right now. But in case you don't know, natural selection is a backcountry snowboarding competition. So they're doing snowboarding competition, but in like 3-foot deep powder through trees and like over big cliffs and rocks and stuff like that are more naturally occurring. And because it's not a traditional like half pipe snowboarding competition or like a football field sporting competition or whatever, we've already come up with ways to film with cameras. Because it's none of those, they had to find creative ways to film it, and they are including FPV drones as one of the main shots for filming this competition. So Gab 707, Jet, and Skyberries are in Jackson Hole, Wyoming right now, starting this event. I think the main event starts tomorrow. If you just Google Natural Selection Tour, you'll get their website and it'll give you all the information you need. I'm gonna try at the end of this to find that, because I want to know for myself where to watch it. Last year was on YouTube. This year, I don't know, it might be on the Natural Selection website only. It might be on Red Bull TV only, I don't know. So, hold on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4, 5. So that's the only one without a connector. 4, 5. And they're using the combination of a Cinelifter with a big, but they're not lifting a cinema camera, they're lifting a, so there's two main drones that they seem to be using. One is a big boy 7-inch something or other with a stick coming down off the bottom with a 360 cam on that stick. That's my understanding of that setup. And then setup number 2 is a Cinelifter, but they're not lifting a cinema camera. Instead, they're lifting a GoPro broadcast kit with a GoPro Hero 10 with a custom RF broadcast kit with a fully controllable gimbal in the air. And you can check out Gab 707's Instagram if you want to see all about this stuff. This is I paid attention to their setup last year, and then it's just slightly changed this year. But all the like rig information is on Gab's social. Gabriel Coker, I don't know his last name, but he's Gab 707, the DRL pilot and all that stuff. Okay, that's a done battery, and then I've got this big heat shrink to wrap it in. I like to double check plugging it into my charger, double checking the internal resistance of all the cells, making sure I put all the cells in the right order, mostly. Okay. But yeah, that's it. That's how I build one of these 6S 1P lithium ion cells. I just go 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, 4 ish stripes of electrical tape, and then I do one wrap around, and then I repeat on this side, and then one wrap around, and then heat shrink it. The electrical tape I mostly use, you can see how floppy this battery is. It's just loose cells basically with the ends connected. So I use the electrical tape to kind of secure it in into the shape I want. Anyways, enough talking. Gab's an incredible pilot. I think he's the main pilot for
for this stuff.
Let me pull up the website.
Desktop. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. Let's kill the music. Watch live. That link is new as of it wasn't there this afternoon. Here we go. A new generation of outdoor events and experiences. What can you guys see? Hold on. There we go. A new generation of outdoor events and experiences designed to inspire a deeper connection to Mother Nature. The world's greatest snowboarders compete on our planet's most challenging, natural, and naturally enhanced terrain. Watch live streaming here or via YouTube. There we go. So it will be on YouTube. In 9 hours and 3 minutes, so tomorrow morning, Mountain Time, in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. They will be starting. They'll be starting the first of 3 events. Here are all the dates for the 3 events. January 25th I'm guessing 25th through the 31st. And the second event is in British Columbia, Canada, the 20th through the 27th. And the last one is March 21st. Sorry, February. Oh, they're a whole month apart, right. January, then February, then March in Alaska at the Todrio range. If you want to see some footage of some of this stuff from last year, Gab has an awesome long-range edit in the Todrio Mountains. He does an edit where he flies long-range with a GoPro quad and long-range with a Cinelifter, and he cuts back and forth between the GoPro footage and the red, whatever red camera it is, footage. And it's incredible, and it's beautiful, and it's kind of amazing how well you can make GoPro footage look like cinema camera. So look at these shots. You can see the drone in a few shots, but you can also see how clearly a lot of this is drone footage. Some of it, I wish I could pause it. That's FPV, that's FPV. That's an Inspire, or like it's a floating camera. And then these are FPV shots, FPV, FPV, floating camera, floating camera, floating camera, FPV, FPV, FPV. Yeah, like it's half the shots. And the other half of the shots are other drones. It's really creative. It's really exciting. Yeah, they've got their countdown, 9 hours, 30 seconds. So at exactly 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time, or 9 hours from now, whatever time zone you're in, pull this up on their website. Here is their website if you want to save that link now, or just go to youtube.com. I bet you they have an event, or it might be on the Red Bull YouTube channel. Here, I don't know if I should watch this without getting copy striked, but a highlight reel, Red Bull Snow. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and set that reminder, because that's the X Games YouTube channel has the live broadcast 2022 Natural Selection Jackson Hole Day 1. I'm going to click set reminder and give you guys the link to that if you want to do the same thing. It is the coolest live sports event that I can ever think of. I like snowboarding, but I think even if I didn't, it would be one of the coolest things in the world because it is the perfect combination of awesome extreme sports and also of, I'll give you a quick taste of this. No music. Let's find some good stuff. Here we go. No sound. If I get copy strikes for this, Red Bull, I'm sorry. I love your event. I'm just promoting it. So here's the FPV. Through the trees, following a snowboarder. This is a live broadcast from last year. This is live, like, live drone footage is so rare. And then there's the floating camera, which is just like a big, like something that can hover in the air for 30 minutes or whatever. And they've got these big old backflip. Come on, like huge deep powder. All right, that's all I can show you without risking getting copy strike. That's it. Go check that out. It's the coolest thing I can ever imagine, and it's an awesome spotlight on FPV. Check out the website if you want to keep up with the future events as well, or just subscribe to the first events happening on the X Games YouTube channel. So I'm already subscribed and have notifications turned on for X Games. If you want to see more of this, maybe consider doing the same. I have no stake in this other than I enjoy watching it. So that's it. Sorry for coughing my mics to death and blasting your ear. There it is. I'm done.